The forgotten myth, the great Galactic Council gathered in their shining hall, their voices echoing across the tall pillars. Each alien leader carried pride, fear, and arrogance in equal measure. They debated matters of trade, borders, and wars, but somewhere in the corner of their endless agenda, an old whisper returned. A young archivist, small and nervous, carried an ancient data tablet to the center. He bowed and spoke, his voice trembling. "Elders, I found fragments of records, old tales that speak of a species once called humans." The room fell silent for a moment. Then laughter erupted, sharp and mocking. One tall reptilian delegate slammed his claw against the table. "Humans? Those are only myths told to scare hatchlings. No such species ever lived." Others nodded, their eyes glowing with amusement. Stories of humans were old bedtime tales, they said. Humans were painted as reckless, fast, stubborn, and clever beyond reason, but also fragile and short-lived. To most of the council, they were only shadows in forgotten history, but the archivist refused to step back, his small hands shaking as he raised the tablet higher. "These records are older than our empires, older than this very council. They tell of wars, of battles where humans stood against impossible odds." A deep voice cut through the chamber. A warlord from the iron-fanged clans leaned forward. "Yes, I heard such tales too. They said humans were predators of thought, not of teeth. They built machines of war that moved faster than instinct, and when cornered, they never surrendered." His words did not bring silence. They brought more laughter. "Nonsense," shouted a council elder with silver skin. "If they were real, where are they now? Where is their empire, their legacy, their fleet? Only dust remains." Still, unease moved through the hall. Whispers crawled between rows, because deep inside, very species carried echoes of the same legend. In the old days when galaxies were young, there were humans, and they fought even when broken. They resisted even when crushed, and somehow they always returned. The archivist lowered his eyes. He knew they would not believe, but his words had already planted seeds of doubt. Far away, in the cold borders of space, a listening station caught a strange signal. It was not the signal of any known empire. It was old, coded, rhythmic, like a heartbeat wrapped in static. The operator frowned. "What is this?" "No machine uses such patterns." The station commander laughed and dismissed it. "Just interference from a dying star." But that night the signal grew stronger. It repeated again and again, and though no one admitted it aloud, the pattern matched the forbidden archives. The pulse once used by human fleets. On another world, a group of cadets in a military academy studied ancient strategies. One cadet raised her hand and asked the teacher, "Sir, why are so many of these tactics marked as unknown origin?" The teacher hesitated, then replied, "They come from legends, strategies said to belong to humans, though no proof exists." But the cadets exchanged glances because those unknown tactics were sharper, deadlier, and more creative than anything the galaxy used today. Whispers grew across outposts and fleets. Some officers swore they saw strange shadows moving between stars, ships that appeared and vanished without trace. They said these ships did not match any registry. Their engines left no trails. Their hulls absorbed scans like water swallowing light. Ghost fleets, they called them, but in private, the brave whispered a different name: humans. Back in the council, a heated argument exploded. One side dismissed the rumors, the other demanded investigation. "What if these ghosts are real? What if the myth's ready?" Shouted one nervous delegate. "Then we prepare," another replied, "but let us not fool ourselves with children's stories." Still, a fear settled over the chamber, because even the most powerful warlords could not deny the unease in their hearts. The archivist, standing in silence, finally whispered to himself. They believed humanity was only a myth. But the sky remembers, the void remembers, and soon they will remember too. In the cold silence of space, far beyond any border, engines stirred, lights blinked on hulls blacker than night. Fleets long hidden in exile turned toward the stars once more. The galaxy had forgotten, but humanity had not. The first shadows, the signal spread quietly across the border worlds, repeating like a heartbeat in the dark. Most officers dismissed it, but soldiers whispered at night, their eyes restless. The myth was growing again. In the outpost of Velen 9, a patrol ship moved across empty space. The crew was relaxed, bored after long weeks of silence. But then the sensors flashed red. An object appeared ahead. "Unknown contact," the navigator shouted. The captain frowned. "What size?" "Large. No, wait, it's gone." The crew stared at the screens. The object had vanished. No trail, no engine heat, no signal. It was like it was never there. 2 days later, another patrol reported the same. Dark shapes between the stars, faster than scanners, faster than sight. The council received the reports but laughed again. Phantoms, they declared. Your soldiers see what they fear. But the soldiers swore it was real, one veteran whispered. Their formation was perfect. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Only humans move like that. In a mining colony at the edge of space, workers looked up as strange shadows blocked the moons for a moment. When the sky cleared, nothing remained. But the children cried. Giants in the sky, ships like mountains, rumors spread like fire, and the fire reached the ears of generals. They gathered in secret meetings. Their voice was heavy with fear. If the myths return, we are not ready, one admitted. Nonsense. Humans were weak flesh, easily broken, another argued. But deep down, even the boldest felt unease because their ancestors once fought against humans and the scars of those wars still lingered in the old records far from politics. Inside the black void, a small alien freighter drifted quietly, its captain humming an old tune. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Contact detected, the computer said. The captain's eyes widened as a massive silhouette slid across the stars, a ship vast and silent. No lights, no symbols, only darkness. The captain froze, unable to breathe. Then, in a blink, the shadow vanished, leaving the freighter alone. The crew stared at one another, pale with terror. Did you see the shape of its hull? One whispered. Yes. Another answered. It was not alien. It was human. The council finally sent investigators, sleek scout crafts armed with the latest sensors. They searched the border zones, recording empty skies. But on the final day, one scout ship failed to return. Only a fragment of a transmission survived, a broken voice screaming, Too fast. They surrounded us. Not possible. Then silence. The council buried the report, declaring the scout lost to pirates. But soldiers knew better. They spoke quietly in the barracks. Pirates don't move like that. Pirates don't erase ships without trace. They knew something greater had returned. In the heart of the galaxy, young cadets trained in simulators. Their instructors pushed them with impossible battle scenarios. One cadet shouted, These tactics are madness. No one fights like this. The instructor lowered his eyes. These are human strategies, designed long ago. Every time we face them, we lose. The room fell silent, a heavy chill pressing against every chest. That night, the cadets whispered among themselves, as if humans are real, what will happen to us? No one answered, because they all knew the truth. The galaxy was not ready. Then came the first undeniable sign on the edge of the star system, Ralos. Hundreds of citizens looked up as fire streaked across the night, not meteors, not debris, but controlled formations, ships entering silently through the upper atmosphere before vanishing again. Fear spread across Ralos like a disease. The myths have come back, the people said. No, their leaders replied. It is just tricks, illusions. But when one farmer recorded the event with his drone, the image spread across networks, blurry, yet undeniable. Black warships gliding like hunters through the sky. The council tried to erase the footage, but it was too late. Whispers had turned into shouts, and shouts had turned into terror. Still, the council sat proud in their chambers. Even if they return, we are stronger now. Our fleets are larger, our weapons are sharper. Yet in the deepest corners of space, a massive fleet gathered, their hulls black as night, their engines silent, their symbols hidden. The human armada waited, patient as the void itself. A single transmission escaped their silence, bouncing through forgotten channels, an old voice speaking in simple words. You believed we were only a myth, but soon you will see our shadows everywhere. The council never heard the message, but soldiers did, smugglers did, miners did, and fear crawled through the galaxy like a living thing, because shadows were no longer whispers, they were real, they were human. The sky burns, the galaxy had lived in doubt, but now the doubt was over. On the frontier world of Juralis, people woke to sirens. The sky above them turned black. Shadows moved across the horizon, not clouds, not storms, but colossal warships, their hulls stretching from one end of the sky to the other. The governor rushed to the tower, his aides trembling. Who are they? What empire dares enter our skies? But the sensors gave no answers, no codes, no signals, only silence. Then a low hum shook the air, the kind of sound that pressed against bones. The people covered their ears, children cried, and animals fled into the forests. The warships did not fire, they only hovered, watching, waiting. The governor tried to speak to the council. Unknown fleet above Duralis, we need guidance. But the signal broke into static. The council chamber miles away heard nothing but a single repeating phrase. We stand. We return. We stand. We return. On the ground, soldiers aimed weapons at the sky, their hands shaking. What are they waiting for? One whispered. Maybe they're judging us. Another replied. Without warning, the largest ship lit its hull, symbols glowing in a deep red, ancient letters unknown to most, but the archivist in the council chamber gasped when he saw the broadcast feed. Those are human markings, old Earth scripts, no mistake. It is them. Panic rippled across the chamber. This cannot be. Humans are extinct. No, we are seeing ghosts. But the archivist shook his head. Ghosts don't burn the skies. The human flagship opened its channels, and across every screen, every radio, every device in orbit, a single voice spoke, calm and cold. You called us a myth. You laughed at our name. But myths do not build fleets, and legends do not burn skies. We are human, and we have returned. On Duralis, soldiers fired missiles in panic. The rockets screamed upward, but the human ships did not even move. Shimmering shields swallowed every strike like pebbles thrown into an ocean. The fleet remained untouched, silent, terrifying. Then, with a single gesture, beams of light cut across the sky, not at the city, not at civilians, but at the enemy bases hidden in the mountains, precision strikes that erased fortresses in seconds. Explosions lit the night, turning darkness into fire. Aliens screamed as entire defense grids collapsed in minutes. Soldiers shouted, they know our weak points. They strike like they already studied us. In truth, they had for centuries. Hidden human outposts had watched, learned, adapted, their technology evolving in shadows while the galaxy forgot them. Now that knowledge turned into pure destruction, the fleet moved with impossible coordination, thousands of ships in perfect rhythm, no delay, no hesitation. Like one living organism, alien commanders panicked. No fleet can move like that. It's unnatural. But old veterans whispered, it's human, it's always been human. The council sent their own warships, massive cruisers with banners of pride. They charged into the Duralis sector, engines blazing, weapons armed, the galaxy's finest. They never stood a chance. The humans cut through them like paper, their cannons firing in patterns the council had never seen. Every shot calculated, every movement precise. Alien ships exploded one after another, lighting up the void with fire. In less than an hour, the council fleet was gone, smoke and wreckage drifting through space, and still the human flagship stood untouched. Back in the chamber, silence strangled the council. No one spoke. No one laughed anymore. Their myths had teeth, their legends had fleets, and their arrogance had shattered. The archivist looked at them and whispered, you thought they were forgotten, but humans never forget. On Duralis, civilians stared at the burning sky, fear and awe mixing in their eyes. Some fell to their knees, some raised their hands in silent salute, because even if humans had come in fury, they were real, they were alive, and their return had changed everything. The human voice returned to every channel. We did not come to conquer, but do not mistake our silence as weakness. You tried to erase us, but we endured. You called us myths, but now your skies burn with our truth. And then, just as suddenly as they came, the fleet vanished, pulling back into the dark void, leaving behind ruins, wreckage, and terror. But the message was clear. Humans had returned, and the galaxy was no longer safe. In the deep black war drums of engines roared again, and whispers filled every corner of space. The sky burns, and the humans are here. The council trembles. The Grand Council chamber had never been so silent. No laughter, no mocking voices. Only fear. The images of burning skies above Duralis still played on their holoscreens. Fleets of humans cutting through the finest warships of the galaxy like fire through paper. Elders who once called humans a bedtime story now sat pale, their eyes refusing to meet each other. Finally, one broke the silence. If that was truly humanity, then we are standing at the edge of extinction. Others shouted back in panic. No, impossible. They cannot be so strong. They were weak flesh, short lives. But the archivist stood tall, his trembling voice sharper than their pride. Weak flesh does not burn skies. Weak flesh does not erase fleets. Humans are not weak. They are something you cannot measure by bones and blood. They are will made into fire. A warlord slammed his fist on the table, his claws shaking. Then what do we do? Negotiate? Fight? Surrender? The chamber exploded into chaos. Some demanded war, others screamed for peace. Old alliances cracked in minutes. Entire empires accused each other. "You hid them," shouted one delegate. "No, you protected them," another accused. While they fought among themselves, screens flickered again, showing reports from distant sectors, outposts gone silent, patrols missing, ghost fleets appearing then vanishing, always leaving wreckage behind. The Council's greatest minds studied the battles, their voices hollow with dread. Their ships are not just advanced, they fight as if they know every move before it happens. Their strategies adapt faster than any mocks. They fight like they already fought us 1,000 times, the archivist whispered. That is because they have, in the old wars, in the forgotten ages, you chose to erase their history. But humans never erased you, they studied, they remembered. The fear was no longer outside the Council. It was inside. Delegates looked at each other with wide eyes, their pride broken. How do you fight something that turns every weakness into a weapon? Then a new message arrived, a recording pulled from the ruins of the Juralis fleet, a single human voice captured before the transmission ended. "Remember us, because we remember you." The chamber froze. Even the strongest leaders felt their blood turn cold. Far across the galaxy, panic spread among civilians. People whispered in markets and homes. The myths are real. The humans walk again. Some trembled in fear. Others smiled with secret hope, because the Council had ruled with cruelty for centuries, and now a new power had risen. Rebellion seeds grew in silence. Slaves and outcasts began to whisper, "If humans fight the Council, maybe freedom is near." Meanwhile, generals argued in private chambers. If humans wanted conquest, Juralis would already be ash. No, they want us to fear. They want to show they can strike anywhere, anytime. And the worst part, they were right. The Council sent spies, ships cloaked in the best stealth, but none returned, only fragments of screams. They see us before we see them. They know us before we know ourselves. Fear turned into desperation. Alliances broke. Smaller empires began sending hidden messages into the void, begging, "Humans, do not destroy us. We will serve. We will bow." But the humans remained silent, fleets waiting in the dark, their engines glowing faint red like the eyes of predators. The Council grew paranoid. Guards doubled, fleets scrambled, yet no one slept because every night the same question echoed, "When will they stir? Ike again?" And then came the final blow to the Council's pride. Deep in the chamber, the lights flickered and every screen went dark. For a heartbeat, silence ruled. Then a single human face appeared on every holo, calm, steady, eyes cold. "We do not seek your throne. We do not seek your crown. We seek only truth. You tried to erase us, but we survived. And now the galaxy remembers." The face vanished, but the silence it left was louder than thunder. No Council member spoke. No one laughed anymore. They all knew the same truth. The myths were not only real, they were watching, judging, and waiting. And soon, the tremble in the Council's hall would spread across every star, because the humans had returned, and they would decide what future the galaxy deserved. The return of humanity. The galaxy did not sleep. Every star system waited in fear. Every empire held its breath. Ships patrolled, armies trained. But deep inside, they all knew it was useless, because shadows were already in their skies. On the Council world of Jorath, night fell heavy and dark. Yet the darkness was not natural. It came from above. Massive shapes sliding into orbit, black hulls blotting out moons, engines silent like predators waiting to strike. Alarms screamed. Soldiers filled the streets. But when they looked up, they froze. The sky was filled with human warships, more than anyone could count. An armada stretching across the horizon. The Council chamber shook as leaders screamed, "Ready the fleets! Fire at once!" But their generals only whispered, "Fire at what? They have already surrounded us." Before a single weapon launched, every screen, every comm, every device lit up with the same signal, a voice, calm, cold, and steady. "We are humanity. We were never gone. You only chose to forget." The chamber fell silent, hearts pounding. The archivist closed his eyes, tears falling. It is true, they have returned. The human flagship broadcast across the galaxy, to every colony, every station, every ship. You called us myths, you erased our history, you silenced our name. But we endured, in shadows, in silence, in exile, we endured. In distant mining colonies, slaves lifted their heads, their eyes burning with hope. In military academies, cadets stopped their drills, their instructors whispering, so the old tactics were theirs after all. In border worlds, farmers and workers fell to their knees, awe shining brighter than fear. The voice grew stronger, sharper. We do not return to conquer. We do not return to enslave. We return to remind. We return to balance the scales. But then the tone shifted, colder. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. You destroyed our worlds once. You hunted us. You laughed as we bled. And still, we endured. Now the galaxy will decide. Respect our place, or burn beneath our fire. The council panicked, voices colliding in terror. Negotiate, beg, surrender. But before they could act, the skies lit with fire. Human fleets fired precision strikes, destroying only military stations, defense grids, and secret weapons, leaving cities untouched. The message was clear. Humans had the power to erase everything, but they chose targets. They showed control. They showed dominance without destruction. One warlord screamed, "Why do they not finish us?" The archivist answered softly, "Because that is not their way. They fight when forced. They strike when cornered. But they do not slaughter the helpless. That is why they are feared, and that is why they are respected." Across the galaxy, oppressed species began to rise. Rebellions ignited like firestorms. Banners of freedom waved under the shadow of human fleets. People shouted in unison, "The myths are real. The humans have returned." In the council chamber, fear turned to despair. Leaders fell silent as a final message played. The human commander stood tall on the screen, his eyes cold like steel. "This galaxy forgot us, but history remembers. We are the fire that does not die. We are the storm that waits. We are humanity, and this is only the beginning." And with that, the fleets pulled back, vanishing into the void, leaving behind burning stations, shattered pride, and a galaxy forever changed. The council trembled in silence. They knew resistance was impossible. They knew the myths had become their reality. In the shadows of the void, humanity's fleets reformed, engines glowing faint like beating hearts, waiting for the next call. The galaxy would never forget again, because the skies had burned and humanity had returned.